since 1952, when Fausto Coppi won the first stage finish on the Alpe d'Huez, there have been some epic battles up the 21 hairpin bends to the summit, 1,860 metres above sea level. If anyone is going to challenge Miguel Indurain for the yellow jersey, this has to be the day to apply the pressure, with 2 fourth category and 2 second category climbs before the final ascent of the Alpe d'Huez. The lead of 8 minutes and 44 seconds to Motte's group. Somewhere Eric Decker is between Motte and this head group, or perhaps they might have swallowed the young lad up at the moment. This is the group we're looking at now. It's just still 3 of them, but Decker is not far down the road. Motte together with Aldag and Senior, they're in hot pursuit of our leaders, who are now through the Bourg d'Oisans and about to turn left and attack the big climb. So there's an enormous gap then back to these riders. Oh, they went over the top of the climb. This little group you're seeing here are now starting up the Alpe d'Huez, had a lead of 8 minutes over Decker, 8:50 over Motte, Senior and Aldag, and the peloton just at over 9 minutes back behind them. So the peloton at 9:18 at the climb there, which left them with some 25 miles of racing. But here the ascent being tackled with Jorgi Müller on the front at the moment. Now then, Stephen, you've ridden up this one a few times, you've suffered, you said you lost 20 odd minutes. Where's your heart and your feeling right now here in the
Eurosport? Yes, here in Eurosport, because I'm glad to be in here today. But on Alpe d'Huez now, you'll get some of the riders here letting themselves being dropped purposely, because they know that if they try and stay with that leading group, they will blow a gasket and might lose, like I did, 22 minutes before they get to the top. So they will ride their own pace. They know now all they have is 11 or 12 kilometers to go to the finish, so they will try and just ride at their own pace now to the finish. Some of them, of course, will be getting dropped because they can't go any faster, but those of them who have reasonably legs okay, some of them might say, well, okay, I cannot win the stage anyway, so if I try and ride my own pace, at least I can stay ahead of the group behind us and gain some time anyway. But if they ride too hard and blow a brain, they can get caught by the bunch, get dropped by the bunch then, and finish in a very bad way.
So with 20 kilometres to go...
You can see how fast Motte is going down here. He's a great descender, Charlie Motte, so he knows the roads here very well as well. So he can put a lot of time into the group, the main group, going down. I'm sure we'll get a time check now on the bottom or somewhere, and we'll just see how good of a descender Charlie Motte is when we see how near he is to this group and how far he is ahead of the bunch behind them.
Well, I make it about 8 kilometres between, because he went on to the 20 there at about the the 12 kilometre mark here. So 8 kilometres is quite considerable. But this climb can take something like 40 minutes from the bottom to the top, so a lot can happen in that 40 minutes of riding as far as they're concerned. So they've kept reasonably well together, these riders. They've dropped off the odd man here and there, but Perini at the back, who had that heart-stopping moment when he nearly crashed over the Armco, just hanging on.
Where's Camargo, Dave?
Well, he attacked.
He did, but
before, and we don't see him since
then. No, no. As Bolts has a go here in the front.
When the camera went back,
this hill, the first 5 kilometers is the most difficult, because it's very steep for the first six corners, so it's very steep, and then it kind of levels out to be much longer hill then, and longer distance then between each of the corners.
Torres is attacking now, and Conti is going after him. Torres away, Conte behind him, Perini hanging on at the back here right now, and Bolt's looking for a
Conti counterattacks. Conti counters.
Well, we don't see Camargo. He certainly attacked on the top of the climb. We didn't see him being caught back by this group. We presume, therefore, by looking at the numbers of vehicles in front, that we are with the head of the group. It does say Tetla Peloton.
Well, as
right here,
Camargo is a Colombian, and we all know he's not a great descender. Maybe he got dropped on the descent, maybe.
Yeah, well...
But it's surprising you haven't seen him in there, so nothing on a computer there about it either, so...
No.
But Conti seems to be riding very well, taking into consideration that he's 190 kilometres out there now on his own, and already gone over 3 climbs, 2 fourth category and 1 second category climb. 4 climbs, 2 fourth category and 2 second category climbs. So he's still looking very fresh. So it confirms what I was saying earlier on about the weather being a little cooler today. It gives the lads a kind of a refreshing, a little bit of a kind of a booster, because they're so used to the warm weather that one cool day helps you to recover very quickly and wakes you up a little bit.
Conti it is then who is first to show his hand on this climb up the Alpe d'Huez, the infamous climb that was first taken by Fausto.
Oh, we have the gap now. Very good gap,
yes.
yeah.
Coppi, the Italian it was that won the stage here in 1952. We didn't come back on the Alpe d'Huez until 1976 when Zoetemelk scored the first of the Dutch victories. After Zoetemelk, Kuiper won in 77 and again in 78. Then Zoetemelk again in 79. 1981 was Winnen, and we had Winnen again win it, and Tunisa and Rooks have also won up here. Hampson was the winner last year, and Bunya's won it a couple of times, but the Dutch really have got nothing to cheer about now. They've got to cheer this Italian. He's suddenly gone away tremendous speed, hasn't he?
He is, yeah. We just saw him there a minute ago opening up his hat. If you look at his crash helmet, he just opened a string on it, so he has. That's because you can imagine, like, even though it is a little bit chillier here today than the other previous days, he is very, very warm because he's going uphill and he's sweating a little bit. And even though you have a very, very light hat on your head, maybe only about 120, maybe 150 grams, maybe, it's only very, very light. But the fact of having something small on your head, it makes you feel a little bit kind of claustrophobic. And as you see, the 19 corners still to go. Every corner on the Alpe d'Huez is accounted from 22 down to 1.
Do you look at it when you go up and say, God, there's 19 to go, or do you say, well, I've just got 3 out the way? I mean, is it
you do, but the first few go by very quickly, but then the last few, then it's very long from one corner to another, so then it starts feeling long. But any rider, as I was saying again, going back to Conti's helmet, when you feel something on your head, it just kind of makes you feel a little bit kind of claustrophobia, and when you can loosen it or take it off, it's better to do it. And I'd say before long we might even see Conti taking his hat off and sticking it in his pocket.
That's a marvellous view of the Alpe d'Huez, the zigzags, the 21 climbs to the summit. The race is really on. And it's Conti that's thrown down the gauntlet on the 21 hairpin climbs. You see there in the distance the clouds and the snow. The finish is up in the clouds and snow, up to his right where he is here. At the bottom of the climb you can look up and see it zigzagging like a crazy staircase to the sky. And these riders now twisting round the hairpin bends are being hotly pursued by the main group. But at this rate or not, they're going to have to work if anybody's going to get up there with those 14 men. The remnants are on the climb now. The leaders that went away after 14 kilometres being covered, and the bunch looked like they've left it a lot too late.
We see here Stephen Huze now for the Festina team riding in the front. He's riding in the front, trying to make it one long line in the peloton, so that Luc Leblanc and Virenque, who are on the Festina team, can get an easy ride to the front without having to push around everything else. As you see the gear now, Conti's on his second last gear here, I'd say. He's got 39 front chainring. Here on the back will have 20, 21, 22 and 23, so he's on a 39, 22 at the moment. So you can imagine how steep this hill of Alpe d'Huez is. And
surely it's all about judgment, because you can feel good at the bottom and prance away like he's done, but you know he knows the hill, but you've got to get exactly right, haven't you? Because it gets so steep later on.
Well, it's the first. Actually, this is the hardest part here now. Then you have an easier, not easier, but it's longer, falls flat. Then it gets hard again towards the finish. So as Conti knows this hill after being over it on a number of occasions before now, he's I'm sure what he wants to do now is get the gap. But when he has the gap, then he'll try and consolidate it then and try and hold on. But the important thing for him now is getting the gap so that the lads behind get demoralised and say, okay, now we're riding for second place, and that'll play then to Conti's advantage.
Well, we've seen the leader Conti way up on the climb, and this is the chasing group, and between this group and the leader we have the remnants of the 14-man breakaway group, plus Charlie Motti, who's with Ralph Aldegg and Eddie Senior and Decker, all on his own as well. So we're going back up here. We're going to probably lose track of many of these riders. We'll do our best to put you in the picture about where they are on the climb, because this is when it gets split all over the place, and the poor old producer of the programme doesn't know which button to press to pick up which camera picture, because the riders are everywhere on the climb, and each of them riding at his own pace, some of them coming up, some of them going back. But this man now has opened up a gap well in excess of half a minute. They put the yellow service vehicle behind for Mavic, and this is a very smooth, stylish performance by Conti, who yesterday was also in that group that went up the climb of the Mont Ventoux with Indurain, and he finished in fourth spot by breaking away on the run down in toward the finish. So he's a very good climber indeed. Conti the first man on the climb at the moment, up the Alpe d'Huez, zigzagging backwards and forwards, and this is the main group then, who have now started the climb. So Veronk then in the polka dot jersey on the right-hand side there of one of the Festina ride. I'm just looking back to see, yes, the yellow jersey is just behind him as well, and in there.
But Conti has surprised me how fast he's going up the hill.
Yeah.
You can see these riders here, they've been sitting in the bunch all day, like by no means having an easy ride, but Conti has been at 190 kilometers now, so he's having a great ride.
And then this is one of the remnants of that 40-man breakaway, and this is Giorgio Furlan. But I think Furlan just sitting here riding at his own pace, and this is the man in the front.
Well, if you try trying to match the riders in front of you who are going faster than you, you will blow before the finish and lose more time than you will lose if you go over it at your own pace, because you yourself only know how fast you can go. So if you try and match the others, you won't last the top.
That's one thing about this sort of helmet he's using, Steve, and that's the one I always used to race with. You can actually take him off and put in your pocket. The trouble with the hard shell helmets is there's nowhere to put him, is there really?
That's it, and also you have more air circulating through this helmet. But the question is, when you fall, which one is the more efficient? Like so.
I never tested it.
No, well, I've tested the two of them, and the other one, of course, is more efficient, but it's much more uncomfortable. They've not yet been able to get a proper way compromise between the solid helmet, the hard shell helmet, and this one.
Roberto Conti finished 14th in the Tour last year, 84th the year before that, 29 in 91, 18th in 1990. Has not yet won a stage in the Tour de France. He's come into this race having finished third in the Midi Libre. This man, who is a very good climber indeed, but he's one of those domestics that works for his team leader. Normally been riding for Maurizio Fondrest, who's not riding the Tour this year because of the problems he's got with the slip disc in his back and the operation that he had to have. But Conti then has done the damage, split him all up, and Bolts is here back with Perini.
But so far the Tour de France this year is turning out to be a great Tour de France for domestics, because we saw the other day, we saw Bjorn Ries winning a stage, we saw yesterday Ross Pauly winning a stage.
That's Decker.
Yeah, Decker big caught. Yeah, we saw Pauly winning a stage, and now we have Conti going ahead, and he hasn't won a stage yet, but he's going a long way towards winning a stage. As you see here, Gerard Rui having a go, leading up Miguel Indurain on the front as Thierry Mari will shortly be caught.
So
I'm a little surprised now that the top riders now are letting Rui make the space, because this is the hardest part of the Alpe d'Huez. And I thought myself that the Festinas, the likes of Vihanco or Leblanc, or even the Casaramas with Las Cuevas, would have tried attacking it right from the start, because if Indurain gets over the first 5 kilometers, he can ride the last 6 or 7 on his own without a team. So to do any damage to Indurain and to make this hard stage count as serving some purpose in the race, you got to go early on, and the boys haven't gone, so they mustn't be feeling too great at this point. As you see, this is the very, very hard part of Alpe d'Huez, and you see how long the group is. The group is still very, very big, so in my opinion it's not a hell of a fast pace either, and so if the leader's not attacking, it means they're not on great form today.
So Camargo, who was the one who tried to get away on the climb over the Col d'Ornon, now off the back of it. This is the man that's done the damage. He's inside the final 10 kilometres of the race, but they're not flat ones by any means. You can see up there in the sky the rocks of the rest of the mountains here. Eddie Senior, who tried to go off with Motte and also with Aldag, is finding that the pace just too much, and relentlessly the bunch is beginning to sweep up the riders one by one. Well, Senior was with this group, he's being caught now, and I think what's going to happen, some of those riders who had at one time a 9-minute lead are going to find themselves bit by bit being absorbed by that bunch. And still, though, Conti had made just the right sort of move. Rui on the front then, and Santa Bonita, who was also in that leading group, sorry about the picture breakup, he is being dropped off as well. Now Eddie Senior looking to see if he can just get back in that group in a good position, and at the moment then the field well spread out. Gerard Ruiz still doing the work on the front. The polka dot jersey of Veronk beginning to move up to Indurain. I can see Pantani hovering, or we could before the camera moved, on the right-hand side. Pelliccioli in there as well at the moment. And where is Pantani? There he is. Now is Pantani going to attack? He's moving menacingly upwards as Pensek is falling further and further backwards. The pain and suffering showing on his face. He went away with that group 14 kilometres after the start now, and he's been out there something like 210 kilometres of racing, and now Conti at the front still also likewise been out there since 14 kilometres of the race, but he's beginning to slow a little bit now.
He is, but as you see, he's taken off his helmet now, like he's put it in his pocket, so just goes to show that even though it's not very hot here on Alpe d'Huez today, the body heat he's creating by going up the hill is he feels much more comfortable now without the helmet. As you see Pantani looking very, very much at ease here, but maybe is he discouraged? Is he kind of a little disappointed now that he's no chance of winning the stage? He's sitting there, maybe going to have a go a little later on. But with Pantani, you don't know if he's going to try and is he riding for his place on general classification, or is he for a 6th place in general classification, or is he just going to go for stage win? As he goes here, as I speak.
And Pantani is attacking. He did exactly the same thing on Ventoux yesterday. These are the tactics that took him into 2nd place in the Tour of Italy, which finished just a couple of weeks before the Tour de France started. Brilliant mountain climber, almost unknown until he took off in the Tour of Italy on the Saturday and Sunday stage in the middle of the race, romped into 2nd place. He has that ability to go away. Indurain has not responded at the moment because he's no great threat overall on classification, but he could climb up today. He's lying 6th overall, 11 minutes 55
as Veronk is going across. Veronk is having a go, but Veronk doesn't seem to have the power. He's horsing a gear there. He's not pedaling his normal self, but Pantani has this great ability to jump and make a gap straight away. But Veronk doesn't seem to be at his ease now. He's looking around. Yeah, he's not having a good day.
So Veronk has made a gesture. Indurain has not responded. Indurain, liking to ride at his own pace, may think, right, I'll let these two fry for a while up the front and then put the pressure on. But certainly that group there is going to be bit by bit whittled down as Gerard Ruiz still does a great job on the front. The Benesso team have been trying to hold that breakaway group within about 6 or 7 minutes all the way through, having had very little support for anybody else, so they're a bit blown by it. And here Bolt's beginning to struggle. Perini on his wheel. These are the remnants of the 14-man group that went away, and I can see the car just up in front, so these must be the riders trying to get up to Conti, though. I'm surprised because we saw Pensek go through under the 10 kilometres ago, 2 minutes 25 seconds down. I couldn't quite understand what that yellow car was up in front. Aldag being caught then by Veronk. Aldag, who went away with Charlie Motti. So Charlie Motti is still up there somewhere in front. Veronk then has got Pantani, who's gone away. He's got up in front of him Motti as well, who took off on the penultimate climb of the day. And although he looked a bit sluggish when he took off, he's now beginning to get his speed back.
Well, this is actually a flatter part of the hill. Maybe Veronk is trying to make as much ground on Pantani at this part here before he hits the. He goes to go around again to the left, and around to the right, and when it starts going to the right again, it starts getting steeper again. So this part of the Alpe d'Huez is a flatter part, like a false flat. But I wonder myself, as Indurain just sitting back there, letting him get a bit of ground, making the most of Gerard Ruiz energy they has, which is at the moment, because Ruiz can take him along for another couple of kilometres, and maybe Indurain will show us the power which he showed us yesterday on the Ventoux. If you remember, he accelerated something yesterday before the top of the Ventoux to try and go after Pantani, and he might do the same today because he knows he's good for a short sprint of 3 or 4 kilometres. So maybe he will use Gerard Ruiz for as long as he can, and then sprint away then maybe with 4 kilometres, not sprint away, but put the pressure on at 4 kilometres to go, and take down as much as he can the gap between himself and Pantani or whoever is in front of him.
Veronk could see Motti, that last shot we have on our camera, little Charlie Motti, who jumped away on the climb up the top of the Col d'Ornon, the penultimate climb of the day at 195 kilometres, and Veronk now has got him in his sights, so the two could probably work together. A little stepping stone job as far as Veronk's concerned. He's got riders to chase all the way up, so Veronk then looking up now, concentrating hard here. This is the tactics that took him over the Pyrenees when we climbed up the Aspen, the Périssode, and up and to finish up the top of the Lutzard started then when he went and jumped into second place. But this is our leader on the road, Conti, who was with that breakaway group of 14 men. Still Conti in the lead now, and the last check we had at 10 kilometres, I saw Pensac 255 down on him, but we've not had another look at the 10-kilometre board with any of the chasing riders here, so we're waiting for the rest of time checks to come in here. Camargo.
Camargo, but where is Camargo? Like, it's our cameras don't tell us where he is. He's always on his own, but we feel he's not in the front anyway. So when we see the Pantani to give us a sign tête de la course, which means head of the peloton. So it's very difficult for us here in our camera box here at the finish and out the way is to distinguish where actually Camargo is, because we have no information whatsoever on him.
Well, there's Eli, Kengialta, Burahora, Pensac, together with Pantani, who's trying to go up to catch him at the moment, is Santa Marita. He's been blasted off as well. He was in the leading group, and I think he's going to get swept up any moment now. Conti, though, really has put the hammer down and gone away, and he's got a big gap on the rest of the field.
At the moment, Virenque is lying in second place overall, 7 minutes and 56 seconds down on Mikel Indurain. But Pantani is down in sixth place at 11 minutes and 55 seconds, which means Pantani is 4 minutes and 1 second behind Virenque at the moment. So if any time that Pantani can get, he can get closer to the second place in the general classification.
Virenque sweeps up Charlie Motte and goes straight past him. Charlie doing just the right thing. He went away to ride at his own pace, but can he now assist Virenque? It doesn't look like he's digging deep. Charlie's grabbing the bars and gritting his teeth. He's closing up to him now, and well, I stopped my clock actually when it was around about 8 or 9 minutes. So the gap between Conti and Virenque is around about 8 or 9 minutes still.
Well, Conti was going very well, we saw that, but I'd say with Charlie Motte now, as I was saying, all he wants to do is get a gap between himself and the peloton so he can ride up his own pace and then get him a good place on the stage, and also keep him well up there in general classification. So he has not held behind here, so it's quite normal. What Charlie will do is he'll keep riding his own pace now and wait till the bunch catches him, and then he will try and keep the bunch, or what's left of the bunch, when it catches him.
Just 7 kilometres to go for Conti. I had my watch running on the 10-kilometre banner, but I just clicked it off, so I thought, well, they're not going to show it. And then they showed Virenque, so it must be around about 8 minutes at least back to Virenque. And this man's only got 7 kilometres to go to the finish. Great ride then by Conti.
It's the last 3 kilometres, or actually 4 kilometres, when it starts going up steeper again and it gets more difficult. But it would be interesting to see now where Pantani is, if only we could get a time check from Pantani back to Virenque and then back to the bunch of Indurain.
Virenque in full flight, trying to catch back that escaping group. One by one, he would be hauling them back, I should think, because the group of 14 that went away on the Côte de Preuve de Alrac early this morning. The 4th category climb then saw an attack by Marie, and then Burahora went with him. Then Muller, Torres, Kengialta, Gouvenou, Camargo, Santa Marita, Bolts, Furlan, Pensac, Eli, Perini and Conti. And these 14 men at one time had a lead of 10 minutes on the main field at the 80-kilometre to go point. It came down to around about 7.5 minutes at 136 kilometres. It went back out again as we climbed over the penultimate hill of the day, when the peloton was at 9:18 and various riders trying to jump across in between. So at the moment then, from this group, it contained the yellow jersey. Virenque has made an attack, also Pantani. So Pantani ahead of Virenque, and ahead of them are the remnants of the breakaway group. It is Conti that has done the damage. He took off on the first slopes of the 21 hairpin bends of the 11-kilometre climb up the top of the Alpe d'Huez, and one by one the chasers here are dropping off the back, and Indurain has so far not responded to the fact that Pantani, who likes 6 on general classification, has gone away, and so has Virenque. And Gouvenou here, who's in that leading group of 14 men, he's dropping off too, and Indurain so far, Stephen, has made no move at all.
No, I'd say he waits for the 4 or 5 kilometres to go, then he'll do as he did yesterday. He will ride in the front and make his own tempo, which is very fast, and he'll probably open the back door, then probably drop off a few riders and close down the gap as much as he can to Pantani and Virenque, if they're still in the front at that stage. Conti has no threat to him at all for the moment, but he's more worried about Pantani and Virenque.
Well, Conti, this is Pantani we're looking at now. Pantani lying 6th overall, general classic 11.55 down. Pulnikov, he's now reeling in Guvanov, that was in that Guvanov was in that leading group for something approaching 200 odd kilometres of racing. Smoothly fiddling his gear around here. In fact, at this rate of knots, Pantani could overtake Pulnikov on general classification. He was only some 25 seconds down, and they're both from the same Carrera team. But he's got a lot to do to catch up with LeBlanc, who was 8.35, so 3 minutes between Pantani and LeBlanc. LeBlanc is probably back in this main group now. Pantani really is trying to get up into the top 3, but he might have left it a bit too late.
He may have left it late, but there's still like tomorrow and Thursday stages to come in the mountain. So I'd say Pantani between now and then he could move up a little bit further. But it's unfortunate that every time he gets to the last hill, there's always some group in front. So he's really going for a high placing on general classification. But all this riding, all this the show he's putting on over the last few days, it's a pity that it's not going to get him a stage win, because we'll have heard about Pantani attacking and doing this and doing that, but his name will not be on the honour sheet if he doesn't get a stage win. So it's quite unfortunate it's not a very good compensation for the work he's put in and the show he's put on here in the Tour de France. As we see on the left hand side of the screen here, Luc Leblanc, who is there with Miguel Indurain. But the fact that Miguel is so far ahead, it's actually destroyed a bit of the race, because he's riding there. He's so far ahead of the other riders in general classification. He's so much to calculate. So with the reason is we don't see the best of Indurain, or is he at his best? We don't know. Like it's unfortunate we don't see any more of a show from Indurain.
And there he is behind Rouet in the pink jersey, Zuller, who's been following it all the way around. Damaslas Cuevas is still in that group. You can see the white colour of the Castor behind him. And also there is
there as well.
And the fact still, there are 2 Benestos there, which shows it isn't all that hard. Ugramov is there with the bald head, yes. But it's obviously not too fast, because he's still got 2 Benestos. When it gets hard, it's easy to get shot out, don't they?
But still, it's normally too big of a group. If that group was going very fast, the group would not be as big as it is there at the moment, and they would also be well strung out. Whoever was there would be all strung out, where they're not strung out. So it's obviously not going. It's going fast, of course, but that the way it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter whether it's warm or cold. It's still a very, very hard climb.
And it's on these climbs that you lose lots of places. Yesterday, Bjorn Ries dropped from 7th to 20th when he failed to hold the yellow jersey group on the climb up the Ventoux. Bolt's doing well yesterday, jumped up from 22nd to 19th. Ellie went up the charts yesterday, so did Pascal Lino, who's in the group. This man, Pantani, then, who is 6th overall, looks like he could move up 1 place, so it very much is snakes and ladders when you get to the mountains. Some go up, some come down, but this man now on his way up, searching for a little more effort to try and close down the gap on Conti, but I think he's left it too late for the stage victory, unless of course Conti suddenly explodes, and it's been happened before now. We've seen men suddenly zigzagging all over the place unless they get it exactly right. But Pantani chasing after the remnants still of the rest of that group. Here we are, the leader coming up towards 5 kilometres to go. He does not seem to have missed a beat since he started the climb down right there in the valley at Bourg-Boison.
No, he's holding his own very, very well, but this is now where the part of Alpe d'Huez where it starts getting hard again. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep this lovely smooth pedaling action he has now, or will he start showing shapes and show signs of fatigue. But he's doing an incredible ride, because he is out there now for over 195 kilometres. So he's out there doing an incredible ride today, and also he's in the break yesterday as well. So he's obviously coming on form at the end of the Tour de France.
And you can see up there in the distance the cars parked on the hillside. That is the way he's got to go. The mountain cut by a zigzag route that takes the riders up to the ski station at the very top. And here Pantani much further down the slope. Is coming up very quickly indeed, but was it going to be enough to close the gap down on the leader? Look at him concentrating here. This is where he is. He's absolutely his element. It's a gift some people have got, these climbers. He has that sort of same style. I feel like Van Impe and Carrera and Charlie Gall, they're all able to just go zip up the hill. But here the big man, Miguel Indurain, I think quite happy at the speed at which this one's going. Doesn't mean too trouble at the moment, does he?
No, he's not in trouble at all. He will sit there at the moment, and wait till he sees the 5 km to go sign. He will then judge then if it's necessary to go or not. It'll depend on the time checks he's getting then from his team car or from maybe official timekeepers on the side of the road. They will say, here Mikel, Pantani is 1 minute or 30 seconds, or he's 2 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever it might be, and he'll also get time check on Verhank. Then he would judge it himself then. I'd say myself he would take over with about 3 or 4 kilometres to go, and to chase down the Verhank, and Pantani to keep the gap as small as possible, because you never know, like tomorrow being another mountain stage, and also on Thursday again, if Verhank and Pantani keep that getting a minute here and a minute there, it means the position of Mikel Indurain on the front with the yellow jersey is becoming more vulnerable. So Mikel doesn't want anybody getting close to him. As now we see Gerard Rouet now is gone, and Mikel's other teammate has taken over now.
And Terry Guno has just been caught. Imagine that, you've been in the lead for some 210 kilometres, and up comes the yellow jersey. At one time you had a lead of 10 minutes and you'd hoped to survive to the top of the Ventoux. I'm sorry, to the top of the Alpe d'Huez, but no, up comes the yellow jersey and you suddenly find yourself being overtaken. So Gonzalez Aritia there, that's Ramon Gonzalez Aritia doing the work up the front now, and just looking back down the field, we can see Pulnikov here, and 4 kilometres to go as far as our leader is concerned. They are in the distance. The zigzag climb that he still has to go, these final 4 back-breaking kilometres of activity, and Pantani looking very smooth, very compact, and we've got the clock running on the 5-kilometre board to see if we can flick up and see what the difference is between this man here, Pantani, and Conti. Back down the tail end of the main field.
Pantani is not looking as comfortable as he was in the Tour of Italy, but he's still in the front. As you see Jean-François Bernard here a little bit off the back.
He's struggling
suffering, yeah.
Yeah, one of the men that's been trying to keep the thing fairly well compact for his team. He rode very hard yesterday, Jean-François Bernard, but still at the moment, as they go up this climb, in the lead is Roberto Conti, well ahead of this main group. The yellow jersey group accelerates past Charlie Motte, who went away about 15 kilometres down the road to try and build up a cushion once they climb this hill, but he's been caught now, and still Conti is in the lead. Pantani's chasing after him, and the remnants of that leading group, we still haven't seen some of the riders, Boltz, Ellie, we've seen Pensac just about being pulled back in as well, or Perini, so there's a number of riders still up in front of this group, apart from Verhank and Pantani, who've taken off. Verhank and Pantani were in this group we're looking at now, but the one by one they're also picking off is the remnants of the 14-man break that went after 14 kilometres. So we've got a race within a race here. The chaps who went with 14 kilometres are trying to survive to the top before the yellow jersey catches them, but Conti is out on his own in the lead, and here he is doing a tremendously wonderful ride. He's probably approaching the 3 kilometre to go board now, so it looks like it's all over bar the shouting, and there are plenty of people at the top of the Alpe d'Huez to shout and to cheer on this Italian. Last year this race was run by Andy Hampson, the Motorola rider, the American, taking his only stage victory ever in the Tour de France on this climb. The other 2 years before that it was Bugno, the Italian, that scored the success on the Alpe d'Huez. So it looks like it's going back to Italy again on this very, very famous climb, first climb in 1952 when Fausto Coppi got the stage.
Pantani is showing really good form here, but like I said earlier on, not as good as the Tour of Italy. In Tour of Italy he would have ridden this climb really in the saddle the whole way up, where you see him getting out of the saddle, he's getting back in the saddle, in and out of the saddle, and his gear ratio for today is 39, 20, 21 and 22 on the back. He didn't stick on at 23 because he felt that with 39 chainring on the front he wouldn't need it. As you see Thierry Marix being caught here by Pantani. As you can see the speed Pantani goes by, but then Thierry Marix has been away for 100 and nearly 200 kilometres now, so it's normally he's a little bit tired on this hill, and he's not a mountain climber either. Thierry Marix is by no means very fond of the mountains.
but he has to get up this one, as does all the other riders, and they know in their legs they will have ridden this race today. They went over the Ventoux yesterday, and when we think then that tomorrow they're going to ride the course which takes them up to Val Thorens, 2,275 metres above sea level, back up with our leader now, 3 kilometres to go as far as he's concerned. So we're waiting to see if we get a time check back on the 5-kilometre board to Pantani, but undoubtedly Conti, the Italian here, continuing with the successes the Italians have had so far this season. They have been the dominant race in terms of the successes, and this is the 5-kilometre board, so it's an impossible task then for Pantani. He goes under it 6 minutes and 42 seconds behind Conti, who is now inside the 2 kilometres to go. So Pantani, the question is then what will be the gap between Pantani and the yellow jersey here, because he has opened up quite a useful gap, and Virenque is somewhere between the yellow jersey and Pantani.
Pantani has only gotten 2 minutes out of Conti in the climb, so it's an incredible ride for by Conti, because Conti is not there for 200 kilometres. So I would have thought Pantani on a good day would have taken more. So it shows that Pantani is not on super form today.
But the ride of the day then is that of Conti, and we'll be interested to see what the time check back, if they give it to us at the 5-kilometre board, back to this group here, which contains Indurain and a lot of all the other top men are in this little group at the moment. They are being thinned down bit by bit. Virenque is between this group and Pantani. We actually haven't seen much of him. They're concentrating on zipping backwards and forwards with Pantani and with Conti in the lead. We've not caught up with Virenque, who is between here and the yellow jersey back behind them, and I think the gap, actually, this man's probably taken at least 1.5 minutes out of Indurain. Looks like it to me.
Well, I'd say you'll have a good minute out of Indurain at the moment, but it's difficult to say because we've no time checks as such, and our cameras cannot be on each individual rider, because here you have a lot of people, a lot of things happening. You have Conti in the front, so he needs a camera. You have Pantani here, who is threatening Indurain. You have also got Virenque threatening Indurain, then you have Indurain himself, so it's very difficult to have cameras everywhere, as you see Pansek being caught here. Pansek being a member of the group that was away for 200 kilometres as well.
well, we can appreciate that gesture, can't we, Stephen?
Say, what can I do, you know? You can't get on the wheel, you know.
Here, have this hook. Yeah. you want one of those things, those boat hooks they have, you know.
Yes, but you must remember, we are at the end of the second, after doing 2 weeks in the Tour de France with the heat and the Pyrenees and everything else. So and Pansek has done 200 kilometres out there in the group, so it is quite normal that he is suffering at the moment, and he will suffer even more to the finish.
Well, the race so far, as at this morning, as Pantani goes under the 4 kilometres to go banner, they had covered 2,999 kilometres. That's 1,875 miles of racing, an average speed of 39. And if that's interesting, 6:40 from 9:20, Stephen. That's the gap back to Indurain. So it's about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes 40. Yeah.
So in fact, Pantani's taken about 2.5 minutes out of Indurain, and that was in not less than about 5 kilometres, so he could probably take another 2 minutes out in another 5 kilometres.
Well, I'd say Indurain will take over before then, so I'd say myself, if Pantani can finish with 2.5 minutes ahead of Indurain, it'll be good, I'd say.
Well, that's what he got there.
Yes, but with Virenque being closer to Indurain, I'd say myself, Indurain, he must react with 3-4 kilometres to go. So I'd say the 2.5 minutes that he might have on hand now, he might go to 3 minutes, but then when Indurain reacts, it'll come down again. So I say he might finish with 2.5 or possibly 3 minutes to the end.
You're putting your head on the block there, young man, because we'll see what's going to happen. Experience. You've got the experience. I'm just always, I know in commentating that anything can happen, and it does, you see. So I just keep all the options open. And this man Pantani really is going extremely quickly at the moment. You're quite right. The Miguel Indurain hasn't had to do any work yet. Well, he's ridden up the hill, but he's on the wheels, and now Pantani rocketing up. He's got in front of him, I'm not sure that's Camargo or Bonajero. We've seen Camargo go backwards, but looks like he's picking up Camargo now.
No, it's Bonajero, I think, because I saw it on a few minutes ago on the board.
And just picking up
Indurain's taking over now.
Yes, you're quite right.
He sense of danger. He took over before
You've written the script.
I said 3 or 4 kilometres.
You've written the script.
Yeah. I've been here before.
Yeah, and suffered.
Yeah, but looking at Indurain though, he didn't look too comfortable either. So, you know, he may not take too much time from Pantani.
Pantani romping up this hill like it doesn't exist, and the camera doesn't give you the... Oh, look how it spread this lot out now.
Well, actually, he is going very well. Yeah, you'll see, like, De Las Cuevas now is hanging on the back now as well. So, De Las Cuevas, he is third place in general classification, only 8 minutes behind Indurain, with behind is 7:56. So, Leblanc is 8:35. Punikov is still there. So, Pantani could go up into fourth place.
And with just 1 kilometre to go then for our leader, the 4 kilometres to go then back there for the group that previously contained the yellow jersey, but the man we're interested in is both Veronk and Pantani. Zuller gets dropped off. Zuller's got dropped off in the pink jersey. He's fighting his way back again though, and the other man that's got dropped off was De Las Cuevas. This is Pulnikov in third spot, just behind the yellow jersey and the blue figure, Luc Leblanc. Luc Leblanc hanging on quite nicely here to Indurain, but only Luc Leblanc and Pulnikov can hang on to Indurain, who's ploughing his way up this hill.
Leblanc is looking strong at the moment, but it's amazing. You have like you have Indurain, who is well known, then you have the unknowns like Leblanc and Pulnikov. I don't say unknowns, but lesser known riders. It's like having a one generation, more or less older new generation in the leading here with Indurain, and you have Leblanc and Pulnikov, the unknown generation, being with him. Normally we're used to having all the same generation together, but there's a sign that there's a generation gap there between Indurain and Leblanc.
Well, this man rumping in now to get ready to take that final sweep in towards the finish, and his first stage victory ever in the Tour de France. Roberto Conti absolutely over the moon about this one. He timed it to perfection when he went away. Just think about this though, he has done some 210 kilometres, first with a group of 14, and then finally up these final 10 kilometres that he took away on his own, left the rest all trailing down the hill. And now, in just over 6 hours of racing, Roberto Conti for Lampre takes the stage at the Alpe d'Huez in the 1994 Tour de France. He's very pleased with that one, but the battle really behind. Veronk is wedged between Conti and this man Pantani. We're going to have to get the clocks out, because certainly what could happen here, Pantani will go over Vladimir Pulnikov into fifth place, but Leblanc here with Indurain might even move up into third, because De Las Cuevas has been blown out. This morning, De Las Cuevas was only 33 seconds ahead of Luc Leblanc. So, in fact, there could be Indurain, Veronk and Leblanc in first, second and third place. Two Festinas in the top three. Keep your fingers crossed. Pantani trying to take as much time out as he possibly can of the gap between himself and Indurain. This morning it was 11 minutes 55 back. The yellow jersey did not respond until he got the 5 kilometre point. The gap then was about 2 minutes 40 seconds that Pantani had taken out of Indurain. But Indurain is responding now, as Stephen Rose said he would do, and he's just rocketing up this hill. He's just gone into overdrive, and only Luc Leblanc and Pantani can hang on to him. You're quite right, Stephen. Pulnikov, sorry.
Pulnikov. Yep. Yeah, he's that's why I say, like, Pantani didn't look as well, normally didn't look as strong as he should have been looking in the last kilometres. But he was still going. He's a gap between himself and behind. We don't know of how much at the moment, but Indurain, when he gets to the final 2 kilometres, I'd say he will just keep the overdrive and eat into the time that Pantani and Veronk has ahead of him.
Well, Bonahera, a wonderful rider, and man was also the revelation in the Tour of Italy this year. He went away with Pantani on one of the stage, then finally got caught back again. He's a lovely little mountain climber, so the Colombians are going so happy now. They're going to have a second place today. Beautiful little climber, this fellow. A great prospect for the future, I'm sure. The Camry rider going over in second place, 2 minutes down on the Victor Conti.
As Pantani is coming up now to the final kilometre here soon, I think.
But we haven't seen Veronk. It's amazing the cameras, being French, haven't picked him up. But this man is obviously being tipped as a great threat. But Veronk, of course, second overall in general classification, is also pulling some time back.
Yeah, they can't be too far away from Veronk because we saw the service car there. So they cannot be too far away from Veronk as Punikov seems to be in difficulty. There's the cars are blocking Miguel.
This is always a problem on the climb when the crowd comes out and they can't get through. And yes, they're just pulling back.
Thierry Murray.
Yep, Murray's gone.
Hey, he's done a good ride, Thierry Murray has, to stay ahead so long.
Can finish in the top 10 today.
Yeah. And he knows that, so he ploughed along now to the finish at his own speed.
Wedge then between Pantani and the yellow jersey is Veronk somehow, but Pantani desperate to pull as much time back as he can do on the yellow jersey. We've still got to go up the climb of the Val Thorens tomorrow, 2,270 metres. That finishes up a big hill. We've got some big climbs the next day into Clues, but the final showdown in the mountains will be the time trial Clues to Morzine Avoraz. Bolt still coming in here now with Ellie. They're part of the leftover of that 14-man group. Little did they think, I'm sure, that their day in the saddle will result in them still staying in the lead by the time they got up to the climb from Bourg-Rosons to Alpe d'Huez. So this is for third spot. And Pirini's still there too. Pirini's trying to get up to get third spot, but at the moment then it's Bolt's on the front as Ellie launches off the sprint. They got him a second place yesterday, but Bolt's is holding on to him now, desperately clawing at the distance himself on the line. Bolt's gets there just over the line into third. Ellie fourth. Pirini clawing his way up to fine ride by Pirini.
It is, yeah, a great ride for Pirini. He's showing great form now towards the end of the Tour de France, but he always shows on at least one stage of the tour. Himself and Girotto have always been great friends and very much the same style of rider, having a go from far out. As Jörg Muller comes in, it's a great ride from all these domestiques today. They've ridden 200 kilometres all day on the front, and they're still after holding off the main group. So it's a great ride from all these, I don't say domestic riders, but these are riders normally they ride for the team leaders. So it's great to see them having their day of glory on a day like today of Alpe d'Huez.
And the Swiss in the crowd got something to cheer about. We're having quite a mixed bag of nations in that breakaway group at the moment, because Italy went over the line in first place, then it was Colombian, then was followed by a German, then another Italian, and now we just had the Swiss rider going over the line, and Kengialta coming in here. All the remnants of that escaping group that went away after 14 kilometres, and little do they think that they're going to have some 210 kilometres in the saddle, and they'd still be there at the finish at Alpe d'Huez, away from the yellow jersey and the main pack.
There's some very tired riders in there now tonight. They'll be, as Pantani's coming in.
This is the big check now as Pantani comes round the corner. We've got to put the watches on the gap between him and Indurain. Certainly Pantani will move up into fifth place above Pulnikov.
He's taken 4 minutes out of Conti all the same. Almost 4 minutes out of Conti on the hill.
Yeah, there were 9 minutes adrift at the bottom of the hill, which just shows his talent for climbing. What a different story we might have had if only they closed that gap. And you said Carrera should have put somebody up there in that leading group, but they didn't. And so Pantani comes over the line now and will check the time back to Indurain, who's left the rest of his group. Here's his Torres from the Festina team. He was also in that leading 14-man group.
Well, Torres has lost 9 minutes on the hill because he was 9 minutes ahead of Pantani at the bottom. So Torres has lost 9 minutes on the hill, as also Thierry Murray and other riders have lost more than 9 minutes. But it goes to show you that when you're going well, how much quicker you can bring back time.
Pensek, who was in that leading 40-man group, now about to be swallowed up by the yellow jersey. Only can just come up on the inside, and that's slowed him down somewhat. The crowd is so intense. Although the man with the baton pushed them out the way on the motorcycle, they then come swarming back in again. The spectators are often inconsiderate of the requirements of the riders. As inside 1 kilometre to go, well, Miguel Indurain has really pulled it back.
Yeah,
he's also pulled back.
But Pantani will have taken 3 minutes out of Miguel. But where is Vianca? That's the main question now. Where is Vianca?
And so the other one of the escaping group then, Camargo coming in. That's the gap back between Pantani and Indurain. So Indurain's cut it back. It was 240 at one time.
Here's Vianca now.
Vianca then, as Camargo looks back, another of the little escaping group, but Virenque was with the yellow jersey all day. Pantani had left him. Pantani has taken out of Virenque 1 minute and 34, 1 minute and 37, and coming across the line 1 minute 38. Pantani has taken out of Virenque, and here comes Indurain. It was 2 minutes 40 further down the slope, so he has done exactly what Stephen said. He put the hammer down 5 kilometres out from the finish, but it's certainly going to be over 2 minutes that Pantani has taken out the yellow jersey and out of Luc Leblanc. Pantani then, who tried to do the same thing yesterday up the Ventoux, failed to take any time back. They caught him on the descent. The uphill finish has certainly suited him, and it's going to be over 2 minutes that Pantani has taken out of Indurain, who's digging deep to save those vital seconds, and he goes across the line. 2:14 down on Pantani. So Pantani then, and Luc Leblanc will find that Pantani is breathing down his neck then, because this morning there was 3 minutes and 3 minutes 20 seconds was the difference. So now Pantani has got just about a minute and a bit behind Leblanc. De Las Cuevas is also going to be in trouble here then, because he's not coming in with this group.
It'll be Virenque second on our general classification. Unofficially, Leblanc will be third, and Pulnikov should be fourth, about a minute behind the third place of Luc Leblanc.
Well, Pantani's going over Pulnikov anyway, and De Las Cuevas is dropping off. Here he is now, so De Las Cuevas is dropping out of contention. We're going to see quite a few changes on the leaderboard tonight. This stage up the Alpe d'Huez has always been full of high drama and action. We've seen it today.
Here's Thierry Marina riding on the front, trying to gain as much time as he can for the De Las Cuevas. As you see here on the left-hand side of your screen, Thierry Marina is burying himself now, and the extra energy he has, trying to keep the gap down as small as he can between Indurain and De Las Cuevas.
De Las Cuevas hoping for a third spot and a podium place in Paris now, has dropped off from the third spot, I think. De Las Cuevas disappointed, but he's a very good time trialist, and that uphill time trial might well suit him when we tackle that one on
What a ride by the
Friday.
Festina rider. We saw Virenque, we saw Luc Leblanc, then the third group, then we saw Lino. Here we have Pascal Hervé.
And Torres is also
and Torres, no, there's 5 Festinas in the first 12-13 today. Great performance by the Festina rider. I've seen Bruno Reis, Bjorn Reis coming in here now as well.
Well, Reis dropped down into 20th place, missed the action on the Ventoux, and it won't in fact have improved his position all that much today. He'll probably still hang on to around about that 20th place, but no chance of closing up and getting himself back into the top 10. Reis then finished 5th last year in the Tour de France. This can be a cruel race. It can demolish all your ambitions suddenly by having a bad day or missing the right breaks. And Reis then hoping for top 10 place now, I think will be lucky to stay in that top 20. Still, the Benessos coming in, did a great job with Indurain today, but he has lost over 2 minutes. There's been yet again another storybook ending on this stage 16 in the Tour de France from Valreas-L'Alpe d'Huez. Roberto Conte went away with a group of 14 men, 14 kilometres out from the start, and after 210 kilometres of riding, managed to romp home to score his first ever victory in the Tour de France. And not only that, he's moved up into 6th place overall, but the yellow jersey is still firmly on the shoulders of Miguel Indurain.